flasher and worm. It is not an easy day out here, but got one on. Let's see if we can get him in the kayak. He's on the weak side. They always are. They know which side's the weak side, so we shall see. He's coming now. Ooh, head shaking like crazy. Oh man. What a fight. He means it. He thinks he weighs 10 pounds. Oh, that's a thrill. Oh, there he is over there. Now he's trying to pass me. He's swimming past me. Oh, come here, you. That's a pretty nice planter. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, that's a nice fish. Oh, great fish for French, or for this high mountain lake we're at here. Let me see here. There we go. We got him. Woo! He's a fatty. Oh, see, I knew I had to net that fish. He was not hooked very well. Worm popped right out of his mouth. We'll get him back in the water. I got plenty of fish from the last time I was out here, but I did want to make sure I got him in the boat after such a slow morning. So let's take a look at this guy. Oh yeah, he's a chunk. He is a chunky planter. He's missing part of his tail, but nice fish. Couldn't lay off that worm and turbo flasher. Good deal. Get him back in for somebody else to enjoy. What a fight. What a great fish. So, think lead core line's obsolete? Well, think again. Look at those big, beautiful rainbows. I got these fish while trolling 15 to 20 feet deep, and I didn't use a downrigger. If you don't want the expense or hassle of using a downrigger, pick up one of my yellow lead core rods in the Fish Hunt Shoot Productions store and get ready to yell, fish on. Just like that, baby. Howdy, folks. Kel Kellogg here. I'm up in the high Sierras today. It's been a tough day. I've only caught 2 fish. I had one other bite, and that's been pretty much it. I'm going to make one more circuit here and probably call it a day. It's around lunchtime. Now, to look at the lake, I have ideal conditions. I have 54-degree water temperature. It's about 51.8 when I launched. I've got surface chop. There are absolutely trout here. The weather's been fairly stable. So the question is, why am I not catching fish? It's not a full moon. And I know you guys out there encounter this too. And I don't have any absolute answers. You know, some days they just don't bite for whatever reason. But in the case of the high Sierras, or even, you know, the moderately high Sierras, here's one thing that can greatly affect the fishing. These are planted trout, but these planted trout have quickly acclimated to the lake. And there's been some pretty robust insect hatches here, and it doesn't look like a particularly weedy lake, but if you get down near the bottom, there is a mat of weeds that's anywhere from 16 inches to, you know, all the way up to like 3 feet thick. And what the situation is you'll see these fish in the morning just come rocketing out of the water. What is going on is there are some little aquatic insects that are leaving that grass and they're swimming to the surface, and the trout are keying on those, and they're very small. They're probably 1/4 of an inch long, maybe a little longer. And when you see these fish rocket out of the water, well, they see a nymph approaching the surface, and they're rushing up at him, you know, going 1,000 miles an hour. They get the nymph, and then they're just propelled out of the water. So the bottom line is a little more breeze here. Bottom line is that those insect hatches are very stable right now. They kick in every day about 9:30. They go until about noon, and the fish are doing most of their feeding during that window. That's when the fish are most active, and if you're not, you know, presenting them with a little tiny nymph imitation, you're not going to get many hits. The only fish we're catching up here right now are fish that are making a mistake. So that's just one of the clues when, you know, everything looks ideal but you can't catch fish. It may be that they're feeding on insect or insect larvae. Now at lakes like Shasta, big bait fish lakes, sometimes you'll be out there and you'll mark some bait, you'll mark some fish, but you can't catch the fish because the fish are feeding on very small shad. They're actually called shad larvae. And it can be the same thing if it's a pond smelt lake. It can be pond smelt larvae, and they're very, very small. They basically recently hatched from the egg stage, and they are just very little. And that's what the trout are keying on. Trout, you know, rainbows, they don't have a big giant brain, but they can get very acclimated to one food source. And think about it like this. There's a conveyor belt coming by. Now, you and I love hamburgers, but we're not trout. So on this conveyor belt, there's a bunch of M&Ms and there's one hamburger, okay? You and I, we might grab the hamburger, but trout don't operate on that level. If there's a big number of M&Ms coming down that conveyor belt, they will consistently eat the M&Ms and they will ignore that hamburger. They don't have that upper level thought process, and that's kind of what you're dealing with. They're out here today, they're feeding on these insects, and I've showed them worms, spoons, plugs, one of my micro minnow flies right now, and they are not interested in anything. The two fish I got, I did get them on worms, but again, those were fish that made a mistake. They nipped at the worm and determined that it was meat. It was something that they liked. They were both very lightly hooked. One came unhooked in the net. So that's the deal, man. Sometimes you just can't catch them. You got to look at all the conditions around you, and a lot of times at least you can explain why you're not catching fish, and that is the situation here today. Now, when these hatches die down here, the fishing's going to be very good. There's a lot of fish here. They're active. They're dialed into the lake. They're very robust. When you do hook them, they fight great. But right now, in terms of catching them on hardware, catching them on bait, it's a very difficult bite. Anyway, I'm Kel Kellogg. I'm signing off. I will catch you next time right here on YouTube. And, you know, if you're looking for trout tackle, go on over to fishhuntshoot.com. Check out my store. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and that little bell notification down there. And you'll always know when I'm here on YouTube talking fishing. You guys take care. Thank you for all the support over the years. If it wasn't for you guys, it wouldn't be a Fish Hunt Shoot YouTube channel. I'm Kel Kellogg, and I will catch you next time. Thanks a lot, guys.